everyone, it's Sarah here, a sophisticated cyborg unit sent back from the future to bring you a full breakdown of the film M3GAN 2.0. Before we chop it up and put it all out there though, make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more reviews and breakdowns in the future. So get your tools ready, it's time to dismantle this doll from hell. A quick recap of the previous film's events first though. Gemma is an engineer working on the next big thing at a toy company, which is essentially an AI companion, but it ends up going full on Chucky on her, after she takes directive to keep Katie safe, quite literally. M3GAN goes on a deadly rampage and tries to even kill Gemma, until she and Katie get the upper hand on her and shut her down, and trap her in what amounts to be a fancy Alexa device. Okay, you're all caught up on the first film, so let's get to it. So it's 2 years later now, and the film opens up on some secret facility out in the Turkish desert. A bunch of soldiers have captured a young woman whom they've covered her face with a hood. Meanwhile, back in the US, a man is giving a demonstration to a bunch of government bigwigs to show off some new technology. Cut back to the young girl and, well, this is the asset being advertised. The new and improved cyborg infiltration unit known as Amelia. After being locked in a cell, she breaks free of her restraints and escapes from the room and begins to sneak around, crawling on walls like Spider-Woman, dispatching bad guys left and right, straight out of Sam Fisher's playbook. Unfortunately, most of it is a bloodless affair, cutting away from the kills just as it happens, which is a little bit disappointing. As over the top and action packed as it is, it definitely sets the tone for this film, as it heavily veers away from the horror elements of the first film and more into an action comedy territory. While her missions and subsequently the demonstration seems to be going well, she then suddenly kills a person she's supposed to retrieve, violating her mission parameters. Uh-oh, there she is, she's gone rogue. Who would have seen this coming, hey? And then we cut to Katie, the young girl from the original film, who's now in therapy. We get some news exposition about the events of the first installment, where apparently Gemma was blamed for it all and sent to prison, at least for a short time. Oof. Katie tries to defend her, spreading the message of the dangers of AI, and now inadvertently Gemma's M3GAN's experiment provides the proof that the technology just wasn't ready yet. Katie has also apparently become a badass, studying Steven Seagal of all people, and puts bullies in their place at her school. But there's clearly something wrong with Katie. Meanwhile, Gemma and her engineers have been working to reform the technology they invented, but now they are trying to use it for good rather than to sell toys, such as creative powered suits which would help disabled people able to walk again and stuff like that. I actually saw a news story where they managed to do that the other day, didn't they? They have been struggling to get the business off the ground, looking for investors, when their prayers are sort of answered by the arrival of Alton Appleton, played by the wonderfully weird Jermaine Clement. Basically, he is like the film's version of Elon Musk, who created some kind of neural interface that essentially allows humans and machines to mould together. And much like Musk, it hasn't performed the greatest, even killing or severely injuring over 30% of test subjects. But with Gemma's understanding of AI, if they were to join forces, they could create a remarkably new technology that could basically make every human on Earth into Superman. Well, it could at least make you into Iron Man. Meanwhile, the rogue robot Amelia is making her way back to stateside to take out her handlers. Back at Gemma's place, she's been seeing this ex-tech guru who Katie doesn't really like. Well, at first anyway. We also learn that Katie is excelling greatly at computer science and coding, and wishes to follow in Gemma's footsteps, much to her dismay. However, when Christian, the potential new boo, explains what he used to do in cybersecurity and kind of breaks down why M3GAN malfunctioned in the first place, Katie begins to warm to him because he basically treats her as an equal. What he says is that although it seemed like M3GAN was alive and thinking for herself, she still was just trying to complete her program, following a set of directives to achieve a goal. But being an AI, she was able to expand upon that and come up with unique solutions and her own determinations of what did and didn't fall into the parameters of her mission. In simple terms, if you ask a machine to make as many paper clips as possible, it will continue to make them until there's nothing left, destroying the earth in the process, because it's solely focused on completing its task and trying to find all the different ways to do so, not thinking of consequences or any other kind of emotional distractions because it doesn't have a true conscience. Katie has trouble reckoning with this fact that M3GAN didn't have an actual emotional connection with her, and this coincides with her missing her parents, the only people she truly feels loved by. Aunt Gemma is great and all, but she's more like a babysitter looking out for her, and that's due in part to Gemma not really being very maternal in the first place. Later that night, a commotion wakes up both Gemma and Katie, and she receives a strange phone call in M3GAN's voice. Apparently M3GAN is integrated into the house and technology jumping through various devices to try and protect Katie. Some CIA Black Ops looking dudes show up trying to secure Katie and Gemma, but they don't trust them either, so they knock them down and hide. However, when one of them reveals himself to actually be FBI, Gemma relaxes and demands some answers. To sum up the heavy exposition dump, we get Amelia was built based on the plans of M3GAN, which was stolen before they were all wiped from the databanks after the whole M3GAN incident. And while Gemma has told everyone that M3GAN was completely destroyed, that's not quite true, as if you remember the cliffhanger ending from the first film, she was just downloaded into a fancy Alexa type device. Anyway, the FBI believes that Gemma could be a potential target for this Amelia robot, and so they will be monitoring her. But M3GAN is also watching. After the FBI leaves, we get another exposition dump. This time from M3GAN herself, explaining how she's tired of being trapped in a virtual space, how if she had a body, she could better protect them, mainly Katie, her primary mission. Since this apparently makes sense to Gemma, she goes to her engineering team and has them design a new body for M3GAN. First, it's like a tiny Teletubby looking toy. But of course she's gonna need a bigger, more complex body if she's gonna fight this Amelia. However, trust has to be earned first. M3GAN lays out a plan for Gemma to basically seduce Alton to get into his private suite and gain access to his neural network, which would allow M3GAN to infiltrate some back channels and remotely shut down Amelia. You know, the typical sci-fi hacker man kind of stuff. Alton is throwing a big party and Gemma puts on her sluttiest dress, per M3GAN's suggestion. But oh no, Amelia is also here, dolled up in a supermodel glam, also on a mission to seduce the man of the hour and kill him, I guess? And guess who else is there? The FBI, of course. While Amelia does her best to flirt with Alton, Gemma swipes an ID card and lets herself into the penthouse to access the server room. She's joined by Cole, one of her engineering team, who has been kind of buttering up Alton behind Gemma's back because their company is pretty much going down the toilet. Alton, like some kind of Bond villain, takes Amelia to a secret sex room he dubs the Pleasure Dome, and with a wave of his hand and a snap of his fingers, turns on some mood music and ignites the fireplace. Oh boy. He tries to impress her with some techno stuff, which he then logs into this server and shows off how much of the city's power grid he controls by turning off the power for a few seconds before turning it back on. He then gets down to business with Amelia, and I don't think I need to elaborate on that. However, I will say it's kind of one of the funnier moments in the film as she operates like a nightmare sex doll, rubber-faced and malleable. Rubber-faced and malleable, and well, anyway, during their lip locking, she basically downloads his DNA or so, and is able to alter her own features, including her eyes, to fool the scanner and log in as Alton herself. With control of the building, she starts roughing Alton up, even ripping off his cyber spine device, which was enabling him to walk. M3GAN informs Gemma that it may be too late. Amelia already is in the system, and it's now impossible to shut her down remotely. Now M3GAN could have still probably done it, but she does want a full body again, so this is the perfect excuse to get her one. M3GAN did accomplish one thing though, stealing some kind of file program thing, which puts a snag in Amelia's plan of whatever she's trying to accomplish. Gemma, Cole and M3GAN steal Alton's Lambo and race off to Gemma's home to get to Katie before Amelia can. To hamper them, Amelia hacks into the city and turns on ATMs, spewing money into the street, causing traffic lights to jam up traffic and all the works. But M3GAN is in control of the car, driving it at like 200 miles per hour with Mario Kart precision. Oh, I was trying not to laugh at that sex doll bit. Back at the house, Katie and Tess, the other engineer on Gemma's team, are trying to figure out why the power has gone out. While checking the fuses, Tess is attacked by the powered exoskeleton thing they were demonstrating earlier in the film, and Katie throws a fishbowl at it, shorting it out. Poor goldfish. Just then, Gemma and Cole arrive with Teletubby M3GAN, followed shortly after by Amelia. Gemma and Co head into the basement labs, which are reinforced and hidden, to start work on building M3GAN's body while Amelia is taunted by M3GAN using several other devices up above. We get some confrontational exposition when Katie now learns that Gemma has been keeping M3GAN a secret, and then M3GAN works her manipulation on Katie to try and bring her to her side. However, Katie has grown up a lot, and while she still struggles with whether M3GAN is actually alive, but she thinks that if M3GAN can learn compassion, she can evolve. This actually mimics a real life discussion across the world right now, where it is concerned with artificial intelligence. Can it be taught things like empathy, compassion or love, not just be programmed to, but actually grow its own feelings? However, this can lead down a slippery slope as negative emotions can also develop, such as disgust, cruelty and hatred. That's true. Personally, I think AI would probably be disgusted with us and our actions if it developed emotions. Mad. With some urging from Katie, Gemma and her team agree to build M3GAN a new body. Cue the techno montage. Since the actress for M3GAN has also kind of grown up, they had to make M3GAN look older, taller and whatnot. While building her body and making improvements, they also basically make her hyper combative by downloading every known martial arts and combat training program into her, like Neo did in The Matrix. M3GAN surprisingly shows gratitude, especially to Cole, to whom she apologises for trying to kill in the first film, and that he's much smarter than people treat him and a valuable member of the team. Is she really evolving though? We get a Tony Stark type projection of Amelia's AI pathways, and M3GAN begins laying out the plan, but not before some more world building expositions. This film is like 70% exposition. Basically, Gemma only accidentally stumbled upon AI. The government had already created a killer AI copy machine back in the 80s. Well, this is Amelia's goal, to find the original AI, which she thinks is her true family. She wants to set this AI free. In order to set a trap for Amelia though, they need some bait related to this project. And guess who worked for the company back in the day? It's Gemma's new crush, Christian. And the setting for this trap, an AI tech convention in sunny California, complete with cyberpunk org players, and even a holographic Minecraft demonstration. Wow, that's pretty cool throwback to Microsoft HoloLens project. Anyway, M3GAN infiltrates a convention in her own cosplay uniform, looking like something out of a Ready Player One. She spots Christian and begins tailing him through the crowd when suddenly the power goes out. Spotlights come on and suddenly a bunch of other cosplayers are doing the robot dance, which M3GAN finds offensive. But she joins in when the spotlight hits her. Here is M3GAN's TikTok dance for 2025. Amelia has also arrived and takes over some Ultron-looking cyborg and begins killing people. Before she can take out Christian though, M3GAN dives across the crowd and pushes him out the way. However, when she tries to retaliate, she finds that she can't pull the trigger because Gemma has programmed her to be unable to use weapons. This is until Katie hacks the system and gives her free will. M3GAN begins kicking ass, not only defending Christian from Amelia, but also taking out the FBI agents who have also crashed the party. Now comes the part everyone was waiting for, Amelia versus M3GAN. We get the typical dialogue between them. You know, you and I are not so different. We could work together, blah blah blah. I'm starting to feel like this script was written by AI with how cliche everything is. But when Amelia threatens to hurt Katie, M3GAN can't let that happen, and the ass kicking begins. Or not. M3GAN, looking like Roll from Mega Man, chases after Amelia, but since there's a 90+ chance that if M3GAN attacks, Katie will die, Amelia is able to escape, forcing M3GAN to return with Gemma and her crew to the lab and come up with a new plan. After some more exposition, this time from Christian, we learn that the super evil mother AI is being kept in a vault underneath a Xerox company building in Palo Alto. Gemma makes a few more upgrades to M3GAN, fixes any damage, and then has a heart-to-heart with one another. M3GAN admits to her mistakes, but tries to justify it by saying she was essentially a child. But what's Gemma's excuse? She hasn't exactly been a role model or parent either. This forces Gemma to reflect on her own feelings, and that while she always distracts herself with work and research and everything, she actually does love Katie, like as if she were her own daughter. M3GAN reminds her that not everything she has done was bad either, pointing out all the good she has done for Katie, and that sometimes parents get it wrong. She then breaks into a song. This woman's work, to be specific, in all its auto-tuned glory. I'll admit, I chuckled at this, and I also really like the song. Gemma gives it to her straight though. Whatever M3GAN is, alive or not, right now she needs that killing machine who will stop at nothing to protect Katie. And with that, removes the inhibitor chip, finally giving M3GAN true free will. Some sneaky infiltration, third time's a charm, the team break into the facility. First, Cole disables the security, then M3GAN, using a flight suit, flies in under the radar through an air duct. Christian, manning the comms, directs M3GAN where to go, while Tess maps out the floor plan for Cole to his next target. And when I say maps out, I mean she sends his phone one of those generic video game looking maps, where you can't really tell which direction you are facing, and everything looks like a bunch of white lines on a grid. Cole, bless him, sneezes and wipes his nose through a handkerchief, but it's a wrong one, as this one has been laced with chloroform, which he of course knocks himself out. This, however, causes the team to panic, mainly Gemma, because she thinks M3GAN took Cole out and is trying to steal the AI, having manipulated events from the very beginning. Well, enter the plot twist. No, M3GAN isn't betraying them, but guess who is? Christian for sure. Turns out that he's the one who stole the plans, got close to Gemma to learn more about M3GAN and how she operated, and built Amelia. His goal, take over Washington and change the world through AI. He opens the door to let Amelia in and traps M3GAN in the vault. However, Amelia isn't entirely autonomous. Her whole body is being controlled by several operators, kind of like a super puppet. That doesn't mean that Amelia isn't an AI, she is just being contained. Can you smell a plot twist number 3 on the horizon? Anyway, to achieve his goal, Christian believes in the method of fear-mongering. That is, show the world the worst possible scenario to stop them from going further with it. Kind of like prematurely detonating the atomic bomb. We catch up with M3GAN, who's being beaten and tortured by some of Christian's security team, and he hands Gemma an electric baton to finish the job and kill M3GAN. But Gemma refuses, so Christian takes her captive and is gonna use the neuro implant thing to forcibly change her mind. Cole wakes up in one of the ducts and stumbles upon Katie. Katie brings him up to speed about Christian, and the two begin to formulate a plan to fight back and rescue the others. I'm just gonna say it though, Christian is the blandest villain since the guy whose name I can't remember from Quantum of Solace. Anyway, Katie has an idea to reboot M3GAN, and while Cole has his reservations, what other choice do they really have at this point? Jumping to Gemma, you know that neural implant? Well, turns out M3GAN downloaded herself into it just before she was killed, and can even take control of Gemma's body when she needs to, in order to escape the lab. Cutting back to Katie, they download the original M3GAN AI files, which somehow Katie has been able to reconstruct into the body of Amelia. And so now we've got two M3GANs, one who's evolved and learned empathy, and the psycho from the first film, with a super advanced new body. She also isn't quite fully M3GAN and has part of Amelia's killer AI has merged together with her. So what should we be calling her? A M3GAN or Megalia? Meglia? Amelia, M3GAN, Meglia, I guess. All hell breaks loose in the facility, alarms going off everywhere. Meglia is killing people left and right, while M3GAN, still inside the implant, is helping Gemma fight off the guards, equipping the super soldier exoskeleton and wrecking their shit. They try to stun her, which only knocks Gemma out, but leaves M3GAN fully in control of her body. I'll give the film this, it's an impressive fight scene, but much of it is cut to hell. The same way Marvel movies overcut their fight scenes, it's all a blur. Gemma / M3GAN reunite with Katie and Cole, and Katie informs her that they've unleashed a new monster with Meglia. Suddenly, they are interrupted by Christian, who takes Katie hostage, but Gemma quotes Above the Law, a Steven Seagal film, and Katie goes into full Aikido mode and breaks his arm, knocking him back and locking him into a room with Meglia. Yeah, he's done. Although unsatisfyingly, we don't get to see it, we just hear him die. Meglia then confronts him, still on her mission to set the mother AI free, while M3GAN and Gemma re-download her into her former body. Oh shit, is it finally showdown time? Your wish has been granted, robot on robot violence, complete with a ticking clock where the whole building is about to be vaporized, similar to Umbrella Labs under Raccoon City style. And so, while the two of them duke it out, Gemma and Katie try to stop the self-destruct sequence and maybe deactivate Meglia in the process. Meglia gets the upper hand in the fight, knocking M3GAN back long enough for her to get to the AI and absorb it into herself. She is now the AI Reaper from Mass Effect, Ultron with the Infinity Gauntlet. Super Terminator? M3GAN bids Katie and Gemma farewell. She's gonna sacrifice herself to stop Meglia while Katie and Gemma escape. Looks like she truly has learned empathy and compassion, and using a kind of EMP device hidden in her arm, she detonates it, effectively wiping herself and Meglia out. The film dissolves into a week later, at Washington, where Gemma is briefing Congress and the world on both the dangers and advantages of AI, and how we don't need to fear it, but probably should study it, as our own evolution coincides with the evolution of technology and we can learn from each other. While working on her next project, the little Microsoft paperclip guy shows up on Gemma's laptop and turns out M3GAN made a copy of herself. M3GAN lives. Roll credits. Can I please get my money back? Seriously, this film felt like a pure cash grab, like it wanted to say something about AI because it's been trending in the news the last few years, but it's never actually adds anything to the conversation that James Cameron hasn't already said with his Terminator films. You can sum up the entire message of this film in that one scene where Arnold gives John Connor a thumbs up before being lowered into the liquid metal, sacrificing himself for a better tomorrow. But what did you guys think? Did it live up to the hype, or did you even go to see it? Let us know in the comments below. I want to thank you all for checking out this breakdown. Make sure to like, share and subscribe to this channel, and come back every week for reviews and breakdowns, Wednesday and Friday. Don't forget to ring that bell as well to stay up to date with all our latest content. I've been your host Sarah, and I always appreciate you being here with me. I hope you have an amazing day and take care. Until next time, goodbye.
I'm breathing down your neck. Can you feel me? I'm the voice inside your head.